I will just share the screen. Just let me know once you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So, guys, welcome to Surat MuleSoft Meetup 51. And topic for today's meetup is API monitoring. And Arvind Ramadugu is the speaker for today's meetup, and he will going to cover API monitoring. Okay, and we will start with a safe harbor statement. So basically, both speaker and the host are organizing this meetup in the individual capacity only. We are not representing our organization here. The presentation is strictly for learning purpose, and we don't hold any responsibility whether this solution will work for your business requirement. The presentation is not meant for any kind of promotional activities. Housekeeping, like we will do the recording of this meetup will be definitely uploaded to event page within 24 hours, so you can find the recording on the event page. You can ask the question at any time. Try to make the session more interactive. Keep asking more and more question where you have doubts or you need some kind of clarification. At the end, like we are expecting the feedback from you. So generally we don't get much feedback. So like I motivate everyone to provide the feedback. This help us to improve in the future, and to to select the future sessions basically. And I will just skip our introduction. Myself, Jitendra, and Nitish, we both are the organizer for this Surat MuleSoft meetup. Yeah, so now I will give the session to Arvind. So Arvind, like you can go ahead and share your screen, and I will just stop my sharing.
Actually, can you share your screen? I mean, I can run with your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be easier.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi guys. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I hope everything is going well for you, and then happy holidays. Um, Arvind, you have seen me in the past, been working for last 25 years, integration space for last 19 years, and then I'm an enterprise integration architect. Worked with TIPCO Web Methods, and then MuleSoft and some APG, and mix of everything. And been doing MuleSoft for last 6-7 years. And then I'm a meetup leader for Charlotte and Milwaukee. Um, and uh, um, and also MuleSoft mentor. So that's brief about me. Next slide, Jackie. So today's agenda, right? We are going to look at monitoring, API monitoring, but this is more like agnostic. This is nothing. I mean, I'm not really going to talk about what MuleSoft has, or how it's generally API monitoring, and then I probably may leave all of you with some thoughts on how we can make MuleSoft take monitoring to the next level. So that's the agenda for today. And then next slide, Jackie. So typically, APIs. I mean, now every enterprise you go to, they talk about digital transformation. We want to embark on a digital transformation because they have a lot of legacy systems. They want to modernize their systems. They want to give customer very good experience and all of that. Based on that, they started on this digital transformation journey, which essentially I mean, APIs plays a very vital important role there, right? And then APIs are also acting as critical building blocks in order to shape up your digital transformation, right? Over the time, we basically develop large collection of APIs and applications, and then um, it creates a big, I mean, a kind of repository or library, whatever you might call it, and then basically that will help enterprise to have faster time to market, and then good return on investment. That's the whole goal here. I mean, this diagram was done with an API context. Basically, you have an information layer. You have it could be on-prem or cloud, and then your Your application layer will have business rules, business process orchestration, service orchestration, and sense and respond, and all of that. You are supported by, and then, like, in your transformation layer, you can do your service mediation. You can go with messaging, messaging patterns, or, like, basically how you connect and what you do and all of that. And then in your interaction layer, it's more of, like, micro orchestration, and then mediation transformation, and then how you manage the traffic, who you allow into your landscape, who you don't allow into your landscape, and things like that. And then who are calling our APIs? It could be your client could be a mobile web. They could be. Partner could be using your APIs, and then some applications may be using, and then, like, calling those things. And then you also have IoT devices, and all this is supported by your applications API security, analytics services, um, and then developer services, and then the management of, like, API management, service management, and platform management. So I'll take a quick stop here. If you have any questions, please let me know. Next slide. So what are the different types of APIs we have in an enterprise? We call them as internal APIs and external APIs. So in your internal APIs, you can have your private APIs, and then your partner APIs could be your internal and external. That's why I laid it as in between both of those, right? And then external APIs, when we talk about that, like, they are mostly public APIs, public facing APIs, and that's why it's been categorized as external APIs. And then APIs could be your SOAP API, a REST API, or a HTTP API, or GraphQL APIs. So, and next slide, Jackie. So what are some of the challenges with a digital enterprise? API, you always have, like, you always want to know, are my APIs running? Like, how many times a particular API has been invoked? What kind of information and data is forming your transactions? And then how are my APIs performing? Okay, what are the different kinds of failures that are happening with respect to APIs? And what is API monitoring in a nutshell? Basically, it's a practice of gathering and evaluating data about about API's performance, and spot any issues that can affect the consumers of these APIs. So essentially, you are basically monitoring these APIs, the activity of kind of gathering the information about, like, how your API is doing, like, is it causing any problems for your API consumers? That's what we essentially look for in our monitoring, right? Next slide. So there are two types of monitoring here. One is your synthetic monitoring, the other is real user monitoring. A practice, like, in synthetic monitoring, basically what you do is, like, you basically emulate the paths user might take, and then, like, it's more of you simulating a situation, and then looking monitoring your monitoring your application or API. It automatically keeps tab on your application uptime, uses scripts to generate simulated user behavior of various scenarios, geographical locations, device types. You simulate all of this. It's not like, you are doing real-time monitoring or anything like that in this kind of monitoring. And real user monitoring is basically provides valuable insights into an application's usability, performance, by observing actual user experience. More than simple data capture, allows developers to visualize the entire journey within an app and resolves issues very quickly. Okay, provides a full stack observability. I mean, end-to-end observability, end-to-end logs. Basically, that's what this essentially means. Next slide. So what are, I mean, like, we all are working on APIs. We all know what we monitor for generally. And then, like, these are some of the key API parameters. Like, one could be CPU utilization or memory utilization, state of my API, running, not responding, or stopped, or whatever, right? And then you also monitor for thread count, message counts, and then message failure counts. Okay, that's with your runtime parameters. So when it comes to API management, you look for request count, request response codes, which response codes are basically resulting out of these API invocations, right? And then especially the response times. This is one of the key indicators for your performance, right? And then you also measure for policy violations. What kind of policy violations are happening? um, uh, which policies are majorly getting violated? So those are some of the things which we can infer from, which we monitor for, right? And then application performance monitor. Basically here monitors API performance in real time, ensures application network uptime, predicts system failures proactively, and then send alerts. Okay. And then business events monitoring. This is critical to gain insights into the business related processes. Okay. Will be fed into, I mean, the what we take from when when any business event is happening, we have to kind of, like, we take that and then we process that intelligently, and then, like, take some actions through our code. Okay, next slide. So current API monitoring and where are we heading towards, right? We monitor for runtime related insights. We monitor performance related insights, API health related insights, logability, and then, like, basically what kind of logs you can write, how long you are keeping your logs, and all of that. And then there are some API functional insights, and then business events, as I said. Now we have all this information. Where are we heading to? What do we do with this information? And then how do we use this information to kind of make sure that, like, our APIs are self-sufficient and self-healing? Okay, that's what the crux of the story here is. Go to the next slide. So here, this is what I put together for conceptual. This is very conceptual. This is my own thought. Like, it could be stupid thought. Like, you guys can feel like, what this guy is talking about. Okay. And so what are my sources? Like, monitoring sources. It could be your system logs. It could be your monitoring data coming from any of your monitoring platform. It could be your API and application logs, and then API management data. From API management data, we already discussed, like, what kind of data we are parameters we are basically measuring for, and all of that, right? Now, once we feed into our intelligent event processing engine, this is bunch of, like, this engine comprises of bunch of AI based rules, and, like, some machine learning to learn about, like, what kind of events are happening, right? And depending on, we identify the event, and then we kind of, like, make the machine, we train our intelligent machine to learn about, like, what kinds of events are happening. And then and then using artificial intelligence, we will define um, some actions on, like, how to remediate, like, how it can, basically what kind of action it can take by defining certain rules, and then also helping that system to learn about it, right? um and then, like, what will it will result, like, what do we do with that? So situational auto deployment. Okay. And then where auto scale up and down. I know that today Cloud Hub is doing, but, like, what if you are not on Cloud Hub? So what if you are just on you're on-prem. So those kind of situations you can use that. But I mean, with respect to MuleSoft, it already is providing, but some other API tools may not be providing that. So for that, we have also addressed that part here. And then periodic design suggestions, when it learns about application failures, and it also kind of figure out Shashank, I mean, good question. Let me get there. Okay, I'll answer that question for you. So I mean, it also basically go through your deployments, like how it is running. It will identify the anomalies, and then see if and based on those anomalies, it will basically come up with some design suggestions, right? Jackie, can you unmute Rahul Singh?
Yes, let me do that. I already.
Done.
Rahul, go ahead. What's your question?
Can you share the PPT, please?
I mean, we will share the recording, but PPT I cannot share because
No. I was asking for this screen. Like it was not on this one.
okay.
So, like you said, like situational auto deployment. So, how from monitoring we are doing, the auto deployment? How this, monitoring?
So, for example, that there is a sudden rush of requests coming in on a particular day, which is not anticipated in prior to kind of I mean, which is not anticipated as a regular load, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you are getting thousands of requests at once, and then your API is deployed with uh, and it is soon reaching the high CPU limits, and then memory usage limits at that point of time. And then that your load, it can only address such and such load, right? In that point of time, there is a necessity for you to create another instance of that particular API. Okay. And then once you create that instance, the load balancing will happen between those APIs.
Right.
So that is your situational auto deployment. Uh, one of those one of the scenarios where you can do a situational auto deployment.
Sorry, Arvind.
Or
Actually,
like say, go ahead.
we do have that kind of auto scaling part on the Cloud Hub, right? Like, what is the difference
I,
from?
see the premise of this entire presentation is it's not about MuleSoft any API monitoring or any point monitoring, right? This was presented to basically for all the API audience. Yes, MuleSoft provides that. So
Just want to know the difference, actually. Like, what additional feature which we are getting from this?
So today you are not having any periodic design suggestions, right? So there is no system. I mean, is it learning about when those failures are happening? It is not, right? You today what is happening is depending on load, it just brings up the scales up or down. But here you're building intelligence into it. So that there are certain times when you get that load, but here the system will learn about that, and then it will observe throughout your deployment, and then every time it sees something new, it learns, and then it basically kind of take that and then act immediately. There is no person who will be sitting and doing a manual monitoring here. So that's the whole goal, right? You are making your API self-heal.
Okay, so like in that case, actually, like so since like it is the AI, right? So like, how long it will do the analysis part, or
It
do we
depends, right? Like it depends, like, it has, the more data is needed. If you have less data, I mean, like, it may not be very efficient. See, any time you build a machine, I mean, like, AI system, right? It has to learn over a period of time. And you also cover many rules, but it also needs to learn over a period of time.
Hmm.
AI systems, if you take any traditional AI system, are like, when you learn, when you write some code with machine learning, right? You have to provide a data for it to learn about that particular anomaly, or like, how that resolution, how you are resolving.
Yeah, there is some concept of test data and training data in machine learning,
Correct.
right? So initially whenever you create any process, right, you feed the test data. The training data will be the actual live data, like that machine will keep on learning from that particular data, correct?
Correct.
got it?
I know this topic is little dry. I mean, like, and it's again, it's basically conceptual. Um, and I'm trying to make it like, make it uh, illustrating it like, in a best possible way. But I'm still exploring the idea myself, so I'll add more color to it, like, probably in the next iteration. Okay.
Yeah, and like if it is possible, like better to have kind of some small demo so that it will help for us.
Boss, I told you it's a conceptual thing, and then, like, demo will happen probably. I don't know when it will happen because I have a regular job, and then, like, in between, if I find time, I'll basically devise that solution. Yeah, I get your point.
Thanks, thank you.
Yeah. Next slide, Jackie. So what I did is, like, I kind of took that and then, like, depicted in a picture, like, how the flow will happen, like, what will happen here, and then what actions will come out, right? So here is a situation where, like, your instance is suddenly going down, all of a sudden, and CPU usage or memory based on with high CPU or memory usage. Okay. And then, I mean, you may get an alert today, but then it may not be able to kind of, like, immediately create a instance and then route the traffic to, I mean, or load balance that, or, like, bring the other instance down, and then to create two new instance of the same API. That um, that and that and also, like, what will happen is, like, your application may have badly written, right? So because of which, like, it could lead to many other problems, right? So what it will do is, like, you deployed some new code, but then your new code is not working, so it has to immediately uh, go back to the older version of one version older than what you deployed, or the stable version. It will take the stable version, it has to deploy everything. So here, there will be multiple tools will be playing together in order to make this happen. Multiple concepts. One is your, like, bringing integrating your CI/CD through a robotic process automation, or, like, whatever the solution you want to do, or you simply use some AI engine, and then, like, kind of have, which has an ability to invoke a deploy, I mean, CI/CD endpoint, or, like, whatever, right? So that's how you could make it happen. There are multiple ways how you want to solve this problem, how you want to implement this problem, right? So, Jackie, next screen. So here, like, this is what I am basically what it learns over, I mean, like I said, it learns over a period of time what is happening with your application and all of that, right? So what will happen is, like, if a problem is repeatedly occurring, or like, it sees some anomalies in your deployment, or in your particular API, it it need not know what is happening currently in that application, but it at least can see based on what is happening with the intelligence you built into that system. It can come up with some design suggestions. Hey, see, this API is taking long time, and then it is a long running process kind of a deal. Why don't you, I mean, just to give you a simple example, right? Why don't you implement as a near real time versus real time API?
I don't know what you mean by, hey Siri, this.
So that's Jackie. Was I audible, or did it mess it up?
No, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. So and then it will tell you, like, hey, you know what, you probably may have to use this kind of pattern here, like, versus this one. So that is something which I'm planning as a part of this particular solution. So Jackie, next one. And here is the summary. I mean, like, we know how important APIs are, and then, like, also we know that, like, most often times like, developers are busy with whatever they are doing, and then, like, teams are usually busy. We want to kind of make no, Shashank, I don't have anything like that, but I can I don't have, I mean, this is a concept. I mean, like, I'm talking about a concept. I don't have, this is not a working tool. There is no solution in place at the moment. So I mean, how API, I mean, we looked at how APIs are critical, central to the success of digital enterprises, illustrated use cases on how APIs are driving the enterprises in the digital age. And we talked about current monitoring and security options. We also, how can we make APIs self-heal and self-sufficient? These possibilities are endless. I mean, like, tomorrow we may have something new to learn for the system to learn, and then that we will incorporate, and then we will make that happen. And this could be applied to even business errors or business process errors, or, like, if some business process is something is getting violated in the business process or whatever, right? So we can also address that. Jackie, am I still with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all I have, guys. I mean, like, I know this is basically conceptual. And Shashank, thank you so much for making it more interactive with your questions. I really don't have anything at the moment to show you, but when I have it, like, I definitely will show you the solution. It takes time, and I'm quite busy with my project work at the moment, but when I have that developed, like, I can certainly bring it to the forum.
Thank you, Arvind, for bringing this idea. Thanks, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you. So let's wait for a few minutes before we start with quiz. Nitish, are you ready with quiz?
Yes, Jackie.
Yeah, guys,
But
like, let me give some few more ideas, like, so if you see in the cloud apps, the features like auto healing, intelligent healing, that kind of features is already available in case your application goes down or your application get crashed, right? So it try to automatically heal, and it try to create a new instance of your application. Then secondary, like, you have a feature of auto scaling basically available on the cloud app also. So where, like, depending on the memory uses and like CPU uses, it create a, multiple instance of your application, or maybe deploy the application on additional workers. So those kind of features already available in cloud of 1.0 as well as in the cloud of 2.0 basically. So also in cloud of 2.0 can create multiple replicas and all those kind of things. So auto scaling is already available. If you see in cloud of 2.0 on ingress load balancer, like, auto scaling is enabled by default. You don't have to do anything. In case if number of requests is increasing on the increased load balancer, it automatically scale up or scale down basically. So those kind of features already available.
Yeah. And I mean, like, this was not intended to actually, I mean, like, basically API monitoring in general, that's what I was talking about. It's nothing, I mean, like, I mean, we know MuleSoft platform provides certain things, but we also want to kind of like, look at APIs in general, right? So that's the whole idea. But feel free to reach out if you have any questions or like y- I mean, this is basically a concept, and then you can, I mean, I mean, each of us will have very different implementation mindset, and then we may go and write our solution in a different way.
Oh, would you mind to share your LinkedIn or somewhere, like how can we reach out to you?
You
For
can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Recently, I worked on process map, one of the customer. They have a different challenge and they approach the.
Okay. So guys, anybody have any question or anybody want to discuss any of the use cases that you have implemented as a part of your monitoring, so you are feel free to share your knowledge, share your use case definitely, like.
Jackie, I think I need to drop right now. But thank you so much for the opportunity, yeah,
Yeah.
and good meeting all of you. Thank you so much for attending this session. You guys really are the, what do you call, like, the breathe the I mean, you guys are the important people here, because like, without you, we cannot do these sessions. So um, I mean, thanks for attending. This is really great. Thank you, Jackie, again.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so guys, some more information on monitoring part, on the alerts part. So if you see in the cloud of 1.0, so you have a facilities where you can set up the alerts, right? So the alerts are related to your workers not responding, CPU utilization, memory utilization. Maybe also you can set up the alerts for the application deployed in the hybrid mode, maybe in the cluster or server group, right? You can set up the alerts for those also. Even you can set up the alerts for CPU utilization on in the hybrid mode, memory utilization, if some cluster is down, any server in that particular cluster is down, so those kind of alerts can be set up. Even any node has been deleted from that particular cluster. So those kind of alerts you can definitely set up in the cloud of 1.0. But in cloud of 2.0, I don't think this kind of facilities available right now. Like, you don't have any facilities where you can set up the alerts on, like, CPU uses or memory uses. I don't think this is available right now, right? And apart from that, on the API management side, right? So when you deploy your API, or when you create your instance of your API into the API management, right? So you can set up the alerts on, like, request count, response time, HTTP status code, or maybe some policy violation. If somebody try to violate your policy, try to send every time wrong username, the password, or client ID and client secret, right? You can set up the alerts for those also. So that is available on the API management. Yeah. So thanks everyone for joining the session. I think Nitish, are you ready with the question? Nitish?
Yes, Jackie, I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
can just
making
share
you.
your screen.
Sure, sure, sure. So, before I share my screen, I'll just give a brief. So, to play the quiz, we require two screens. One can be your laptop, and second can be your phone, from where you can join the game. And we'll be having three questions today. So, from that, you'll be having multiple options. So, from the second screen, you need to choose the color of that option. Hope I'm clear. Just sharing the game pin before sharing my screen. Yeah. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes.